Building that college list is a topic that is so important for our high school seniors, especially as we are nearing some of the early action deadlines, as well as our juniors, so that you know what to start thinking about as you go through the rest of this school year. Before you know it, it's going to be October of 2025, and you're going to be submitting your college applications. This can be a really fun and exciting task to take on, but it also is something that can be really overwhelming if you don't know where to start or what to do. So today we're going to talk about several of the pieces that you need to know with building a college list and that you'll feel confident about the steps that you need to take. Hey there, I'm Courtney. I am the founder of Confused to Ready College Consulting. I have over 17 years experience working with students in both mental health as well as being a school counselor and college consultant. And I am super, super excited to get to spend some time with you. So as we get started, it can feel really overwhelming to try and figure out what is it that I need to do and how do I need to build this college list. Where do I even start? What are the steps that I take? Are there even any tools? Or, I'm just going to put down the names of the colleges that my friends are applying to. So a balanced college list is something where you have a range of potential schools to apply to, and there are different likelihoods of admission. And so there are a couple different categories that we'll talk about with this. But when you look at having these several different categories, it's going to give you a better opportunity to be sure and positive that you are going to be accepted into a particular school. So the one thing I will say is, and we'll talk a little bit about this, being aware of finances along with having a balanced list is something that can be incredibly important, but hold tight and we will come back to that. So the three different categories are going to be your safety, match, and reach. So when we talk about safety schools, these are the colleges where your typical pieces of your profile, your academic, highlighting your academic and high school career are above the average admitted student. So when we talk about your academic profile, that's going to include your GPA, your test scores, your extra, the rigor of the classes that you have taken. And so the big thing that you can find when you go to a high school website, a college website, and you're searching, is you can find out what was the average GPA for incoming freshmen, as well as what was the average test scores for those incoming freshmen, so that you can see where does your GPA fit in. So when we are talking about a safety school, it means that you are above average with where your test score and where your GPA is. Now, does this mean that it is 100% that we are guaranteed that you are going to be accepted to that school? It doesn't. There could end up being a reason that the school denies you, but having at least 2 safety schools on your list can be incredibly helpful. Then we have match schools. These are also called target schools. And so these are the schools where your GPA, your test scores, those other pieces really are in line with that average admitted student's information. So your test scores, your GPA are right in line with that 50%. And it's something where you are typically going to be accepted to that particular college. So a good range of schools for match would be about 3 to 5 different colleges. And then there are reach schools. So these are going to be the colleges where your GPA, your test scores, that picture of you academically is going to fall below the average of the students who were most recently admitted. So some of these schools might have high or very selective or highly rejective acceptance rates. or your test scores or GPA might just be a little bit lower than that average student who was accepted in the last admission cycle. Now, when we talk about colleges like the top 20, the Ivy Leagues, and those other schools, just know that with them, even if you are a student and you meet their average student, that does not mean that it is a guarantee. Even if it's a match, if it's technically a match, those schools are incredibly difficult to get into. And sometimes they are looking for something very specific with their class, their incoming freshman class for the upcoming year. So it is really important to make sure that you don't have too many reach schools, and especially that it isn't that your entire application is only reach schools. We want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be able to have a list of colleges that you are 100% okay with attending, or that as the parent that you are okay with your student attending, and that you're going to have some acceptances of colleges that you are okay with attending, no matter whether it is that reach, match, or the safety schools. So typically, I would say probably 1 to 2 reach schools. So when you add all of this up, you are not going to have 25 different schools that you're applying to. So if we have 2 safety schools and 5 match schools and 2 reach schools, you're looking at 9 schools total. And you don't even have to apply to that many. So it really is going to be about making sure that you have colleges that you and your student are going to be comfortable with. Okay, so let's talk about, how do you even build this list? There are several different tools that can be incredibly helpful for you. One of them might be, and some of it's going to depend on what your school or your district pays for. So one of them is might be Naviance, or there is another one that is Score. Some schools, high schools, will use Score. This is also a tool that you can use for career research. It's something that you will use to send your transcripts and letters of recommendation. Another fantastic tool or platform is Big Future by College Board, and College Board is who makes that College Board makes the SAT, PSAT, and your AP exams. Another one is collegeexpress.com and collegedata.com, and then there also is College Scorecard. So these let you put in information about the student and be able to get a list of potential schools based on your GPA, your test scores, what major you might be interested in. Another really good resource is called My Intuition. And so this actually helps you get a really good idea of what the college might cost for you. And that cost piece is super important, because I want you to be careful not to put a ton of colleges on the list and then your student has this dream college and they get accepted, and then you realize that it's not something that you can afford. And that is something that ends up being devastating later on down the road. So another thing that you can do is take advantage. And if you are the parent of a freshman or sophomore, you still have some time before this is coming. But one of the things that you can look at is taking college tours. So it might be virtual. It might be that you're going to a local college near you, just so that you can get a feel for that campus and what it's like. But knowing what the campus is like and knowing what your student is going to be comfortable with can be incredibly helpful, because maybe they think that they want a big college experience and they realize that they don't, or vice versa. Maybe they think that they'd rather be at a smaller college and then they go to a big one and they think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So looking at those different tools, looking at resources, taking notes on what you like and don't like, that's going to help you to figure out later on down the road what's going to be the best fit. All right, so the next part. So we have discussed the safety, the reach, and match. We've talked about what a balanced list is, the different tools that you can use. So let's talk about different factors when you are building that college list. So I know that I talked about this earlier, but that cost and financial aid are going to be to me, those are some of the biggest factors. You need to be realistic about what you can afford and be ready to look into different scholarships or look at schools that have financial aid packages that are very generous. So it could be a reach school is also a financial reach. And so just make sure that you are balancing that out with other schools that you know that you would be able to afford, and making sure that those schools that you would be able to afford are ones that your student is 100% okay with. So location, I think, is another huge component in looking at those different factors. Does your student want to be closer to home? Do they want to be somewhere, they would have to take a plane in order to get back home? Do they want to be able to be several hours away by car? And so knowing how far away they want to be from home, I think, can help tremendously. Another piece is going to be the weather. So I live in South Carolina right now. I used to live in Michigan. It is a very different climate. So the winters are cold in Michigan. They can be gray for days, if not weeks at a time. And so knowing what that climate looks like, if your student is somebody that wants to be outside and in the sun and going and doing, and you move to somewhere that they really can't get out a whole lot, that's important to be aware of. The other piece is, looking at, do they want to be closer to the city? Are they okay with being more suburban or even rural, where it's going to take some time to get somewhere? And so that's something that's important. The other piece as far as location is your student somebody who wants to get out and they love the outdoors, and being able to go for a hike or a walk or, tubing on a river or a lake or anything like that. And if you don't live near those things, or the college isn't near those things, then they're not going to be able to access something that they want. So that location piece is really important to know what your student is looking for. The next piece is going to be the size of the college. So we've already talked about this some. So, you might have a smaller college campus where class sizes are smaller. You are going to students get to know their professors really, really well. Or maybe they would love to be on a larger campus where they get to meet a lot of different people. They get to have, a campus where there are different athletic activities and different events and different things that are going on, and they can be on the go and be able to meet people rather than feeling like there's not a whole lot for them to be able to do. And so the activities, but also the learning environment of that college is important. So the last piece with this is really making sure that students, if there is something that's really important to them to be involved with, whether it is being able to go to different athletic games or visual or performing arts, or being able to be involved with different student government or other associations on campus, volunteering, those are things that are really important to also take a look at. And so the last piece I would say with that is even take a look at the newspaper just to see what the current campus is like. And that's where those visits can also make a difference, so that you can know what is the community and what is the culture of that specific campus. All right, so choosing a major and having your academic fit. So we talked about academics as far as the class sizes and those pieces. And one of the things that can be important is for students to know what they might be interested in studying. And most students do. They have some type of an idea. And so when you're looking at that, you really want to find out, is this college do they have a strong program or a strong major or school of the college, the school within the college where you are able to study? Is that something like that they're going to have a strong program for your student? And with some programs, some majors, you actually have to apply specifically to that school, like engineering or nursing, and it's something where you have to be accepted into that exact program, and transferring into that program later on can be a hard thing. So when we look at the core curriculum, being aware of what are some of the classes that you want to take, what is the academic teaching style look like? Are there going to be a lot of lectures? Is there going to be a lot of discussion? Different colleges might have different guidelines on that maybe some of your base courses are going to have lecture, maybe they're going to have presentations. And so just kind of learning about what the school has to offer, as well as how that aligns with your students' learning style. Okay, so I hope y'all are hanging in with me. We are getting close to finishing. We've got a few more things that I want to talk about, but this is just stuff that is super, super important. So we talked about, how many schools to have and having that balanced list. And it's something that I also want you to know that this can be fluid. It can be a living list. And what I mean by that is it's something that can change depending on what your student is interested in, depending on what they're looking for. And as you continue to explore and go on visits to different colleges, or you hear about something that a college may have to offer. And so that list can change and grow. So several different questions that I want to encourage you to think about. One is, and I think one of the most important things is honestly going to be the financial fit of this particular school. Then looking at, does the school meet what your student is looking for with their academics, with their social aspect, with activities to be involved with? And are they excited about the school? Can they see themselves being on that campus for the next 4 years, which is a large part of their time? So staying organized is going to be one of the biggest things that you can do to be helpful. Make a list I honestly would keep a spreadsheet that looks at what colleges you're interested in, what is it that you like about them, and then even as you are going into senior year, what are your deadlines? What do those deadlines look so that when you have something due and can stay on top of things. The other thing that you can do is make a list of different questions to ask your admissions officers as you go through campus tours, or you are talking to someone who comes to visit, any of those different pieces. So it's the last thing I'll say about this is it's really building this college list is something that's individual for every single student. And it's finding what is going to be the right fit for you as a student or your children, and looking at what is it that they want out of that school, not comparing them to any other student in their graduating class or your neighbor or a family member or anything like that. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have questions about what to do to build your list, I would absolutely love to spend some time talking with you. We have a brand new website that you can go to, confusedtoready.com, and you actually can book a free consultation with me, and we can chat for 15-20 minutes, or you can send me an email, admin@confusedtoready.com. And if this has been helpful, please share it with someone, leave a review, leave me a comment. I look forward to being able to talk with you all next time, and take care.